Well, hello, all hoop heads and basketball fans. Welcome back to the page, baby. My name is Bryce, your host as always. I figure I should probably introduce myself to you guys. They tell you to for success, you need to be intimate with your audience. So this is me introducing intimacy into our relationship, and I really hope that you appreciate it. Okay. Um, as if you couldn't tell from the title of this video, or from the thumbnail at the very least, if you somehow got here without looking at either of those things. Today we are talking about Jalen Johnson and the Atlanta Hawks. Baby, absolute darlings of the NBA offseason, the Atlanta Hawks are staring down the barrel of a wide open Eastern Conference, and they are, it would appear as though they have the ability to really take a step forward this season and achieve something that they haven't really achieved. They had some mild playoff success in what was that, 2021? You had the weird four All Star Atlanta Hawks season. Does anybody remember that when Jeff Teague and Kyle Korver were All Stars? Anyways, the Atlanta Hawks have not had much success as a franchise at the highest level, and today, as it stands, it would appear as though they have a chance. So Jalen Johnson is going to be such an integral part of that opportunity, as we will kind of display in this video, and we will explore explore for ourselves. If you're not too familiar with Jalen Johnson, he's kind of been newer on the scene. I believe last year was his third season, but he averaged about 18, 10, and 5 before his season was kind of derailed with injuries, very unfortunately. And this kind of just left the Hawks floating in an ethereal space in which they just kind of sucked and they lacked a secondary scoring punch next to Trae Young. Just the offense fell kind of flat. Their defensive woes um, were shown barren to the world, and the team just kind of was very middling. And this year with offseason additions like Nikhil Alexander Walker and the return of Jalen Johnson to the lineup, it appears as though the Hawks are poised to make some real noise in the East. And I am a huge believer in this team. I think they are very interesting, and I am a huge believer in Jalen Johnson. This dude is going to be a multi-time All-Star. You can go ahead, book it, count it. I don't care. A jumbo wing with size across the or with skill across the court, excuse me, who can handle, who can pass, who can screen, who can be a ball handler in a pick and roll, who can kind of shoot as of right now, but is an exceptional finisher. Those players make a lot of money and they are all stars. And, in this video, we are going to talk about why, and then we are maybe going to get into a little bit of what he can kind of improve upon to become a better, more well rounded basketball player. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and dig into the tape and get to talking about some hoops. Now, to start off this next section of the video, we're going to be talking firstly about Jalen Johnson's on ball scoring. Um, for the Hawks to be great this season, Jalen Johnson also has to be great. When he and Trae Young shared the court last season, they had a net rating of 4.3, plus 4.3, excuse me, in almost 1,000 minutes. So those two guys play a lot together, and when they do play, they are a positive pairing for the Hawks. So for the Hawks to see success this season, those two players need to be great. And Jalen Johnson, when he's scoring on the ball, the reason that he and Trae, in my mind, work so well together is because he is primarily best suited to score as a secondary ball handler, somebody who is not necessarily initiating the action, but is operating off of the gravity that the Hawks' ball movement and the initial pick and roll or um, whatever defensive situation is created, um, Jalen Johnson is able to use his exceptional size, feel, skill, um, and whatnot to create advantages for his team and to get easy buckets. I mean, this is a guy who shot 73% in the restricted area. That's a pretty absurd number. And that just shows you that when he gets downhill and he gets to the rim, it is almost a guaranteed bucket, literally almost 75% of the time. Very, very effective secondary score. Now we're gonna break down this little clip right here. I really love this because this is exemplary of his physical tool set here. So the Hawks are in. We're in a bit of a transition here. You know, the Wizards defense is not set at all. Trae Young gives a little dump pass off here to Jalen Johnson. He's got the ball way almost at the half court line here. I believe this is Kyle Kuzma, giving him, this is like 6 to 8 feet of space here. And Jalen Johnson recognizing this opportunity. Obviously, he's not going to pull up. As we will talk about later, he's not an exceptional shooter, but this is going to allow him to get 2 steps and get some speed and burst moving downhill. This is going to force Kyle Kuzma to kind of rotate his hips. I should probably stop calling him Kyle Kuzma because I can't tell if it's him or not. But this forces him, instead of like sliding his feet laterally like you would, he rotates and turns his body entirely like parallel with Jalen Johnson here. And then he's gonna push him all the way to the rim. Sorry, let's see if I can rewind that just a little bit. Get all the way to the rim because this defender is off balance here. Doesn't have a stable base. Jalen Johnson gives him a bump. It moves him like 2 feet off of him, and he's got so much space to just rise up. Soft little kiss off the glass and a beautiful, beautiful little layup. Again, just exemplary of kind of his physical tool set and the way that he utilizes his big body, his big frame, and his mobility to get easy buckets. That's another really nice one where he does an excellent job of keeping this defender kind of on his ass. This is a thing you'll see a lot of smaller guards, especially Chris Paul. I've seen Chris Paul do this so many times in his career. You'll see a lot of smaller guards use this trick. They'll come off the pick and roll, get a defender kind of on their butt, and then just use their butt to create space because they're not tall and they can't just rise up over. Jalen Johnson does a great job of doing that here, gets it all the way to the rack, and he gets an and one out of this. Again, just exceptional kind of feel, use of his tools when he's just operating with the ball in his hands. I really, really like watching him get to the rim because you just know that it's money every single time. Now, I did just want to pause for a second and return back to this shot right quick. Jalen Johnson was not a particularly good mid range shooter last year, shot about 36% in the mid range. But I think the mid range game and the short mid range game opening up to him is what's really going to accelerate him from like an all star, outside all star caliber player to like a superstar. Is getting this shot, and he has all of the tools that would allow him to get to this shot. Look at the way he just like the, the defender Dennis Schroeder there had zero chance of stopping that shot from going in. There was absolutely no shot for anyone to defend it. So he can really, really utilize his length and his height to his ability, to his betterment by just shooting over players. Here, he's going to shoot over Evan Mobley. That's just like soft, beautiful touch. That's a really hard shot to hit in the NBA, and a lot of players struggle with shots like that. Now we're going to transition to the next part of the video where we are going to talk about Jalen Johnson's off-ball scoring. I would not call this exemplary work from Jalen Johnson. You are not going to learn a ton about watching him score off the ball. Primarily, it happens in transition. You'll oftentimes see him just like sprinting up and running the court really well. Again, just such a fluid athlete. And the thing that I notice most when you're kind of watching these off ball attempts, these transition plays, is that they create advantages for him very, very easily rather than, being in like a set half court offense where you're running different screen actions on and off the ball in order to create mismatches. He can just easily target mismatches in the open court, and this allows him to just score easily over smaller players. Obviously, defenses don't really have a ton of time to to adjust and make decisions in the open court, and he takes full advantage of that fact. Here's a beautifully tough finish over Chet Holmgren. Goodness gracious, that one's really nice. And I just want to rewind it real quick because I think it's exemplary. It's a beautiful, beautiful bucket. Just, man, that's a tough shot to hit. That is a tough, tough shot to hit. Now we are going to transition to the third part of this video where we talk about Jalen Johnson's passing ability. This is maybe the skill that sets him apart the most to me as a player in this league. He is an exceptional passer for his size, and especially with the Hawks having two elite playmakers in him and Trae Young on the court most of the time, it really helps open up their offense in a fun way. We're going to start here with, I think this is most, if not all, of his assists from one of his best games in this past season. He had a triple double against the Celtics in one of the NBA Cup games, and it's definitely one of the best games he played that season. The Hawks eke out this victory over what is a really strong defense. Starting with this incredible pass to Onyeka Okongwu. I love this. With the offhand, floating over the defender, just perfectly placed in the pocket of Onyeka Okongwu, allowing him to just get a really easy lay. I think the most impressive thing with his passing is that again, for his size and position, he's exceptional. He has a lot of traits of a point guard. He has a lot of great vision. He uses his height to see over certain defenders and make like nice lob passes, especially to his to the bigs on his team. But he's almost always just making the right play. I think when you're watching Jalen Johnson's tape, there's not a lot of shots or decisions that he makes that you would consider bad. He normally is he's passing open teammates. He's recognizing disadvantages. He doesn't hold the ball. Look at that outlet pass. That's perfectly placed, man. That's such a crucial point of the game too. I think if I'm not correct, this is another like really great pass. I think he gets his own board here. Fights for it, is able to reroute this pass to Larry Nance Jr. in the corner for a huge three with like a minute left on the clock. That's good game awareness, and that's just a really good pass. Another quick little thing that like I mentioned in my spiel there was his passing to his bigs. Now, Onyeka and Kongwu and Clint Capella were his two most assisted two teammates last season, and you kind of see why. Here is a great example of one. Again, he's most oftentimes trying to get to the rim, and because there's very few players that can guard him effectively, he just draws attention, draws help attention, weak side attention to himself, and this frees up all these little lob and dump passes that he can give to his teammates and get them easy buckets. And that's really something that is so useful from a player that kind of like plays the four position. I gotta pause real quick because we gotta watch this one back. I forgot that this is like my favorite pass, one of the craziest passes I've like ever seen. Um, Real quick, I just also want to mention too that DHOs show up in his tape quite a bit. He's not an excellent screener because he's not like a wide or a very strong individual, but he can work out of a DHO because of the threat of like his dribble drive game. I think kind of makes defenders second guess, chasing someone around the screen super hard, and it oftentimes just allows um, his teammates to get lanes to the rim that they then use to get easy buckets, which is something that we're always looking for. Now, let's talk about this pass real quick, right? So obviously, he's coming off a little handoff from the perimeter, trying to get downhill. He does have decent position on this defender here on his left, but Jackson Hayes is going to slide over here in the middle. He's going to deny this shot. So Jalen Johnson gets kind of caught in the air here. Send his defender just flying about 4 feet away from him here, but he's going to get caught trying to go up for this shot here. Jackson Hayes is in decent position to defend this. And instead of just forcing the shot, he alters, turns his body, and with his offhand, excuse me, just flings this ball to, I believe that is Zachary Ricochet. I mean, that is an unbelievably difficult pass and a very, very athletic move to make. Again, this is my favorite part of his game, and it's what gives me a lot of hope for him as a kind of like superstar slash possible All NBA kind of player in this league. Now, unfortunately, we are going to end on a little bit of a bummer here, although it's constructive. I promise it's constructive. Let's talk about Jalen Johnson's shooting. Let's talk about what poor shooting looks like. Um, this is certainly his most needed area of improvement, and there's a lot of things that he could correct. I think immediately that would start shoring up his shooting in an instant. We're gonna start this little batch of clips off with a couple of makes, so you can kind of see what it looks like when he does, when he has a good shot versus when he doesn't. And watching a lot of his threes from last season, and he takes them with quite a bit of frequency. 4 attempts a game, shooting only 31%, though, unfortunately. Um, but when you watch his makes, they all look the same. I don't know if any of you like watching kind of get the same thing where if you watch a certain player for so long, you're like, oh, that one's going in. That one's going in. It's not even the situation. It's just the way the shot looks coming off their hands. You're like, oh, that one's going in. With Jalen Johnson, it's the exact same. You can tell when he's got good form. When he's got bad form, it looks bad, man. So let's go ahead and dig into it. This is a good shot from him here. Um, he's going to pull this one with confidence. Very, very smooth rainbow. Just hits the back of the rim just slightly, but otherwise a pretty perfect shot from the wing there. Slightly contested. Still a defender there, not wide open by any means. Just a very smooth, fluid looking shot. I believe this next one is a pull up or a step back. Yeah, a little step back here. What a beautiful little shot. Let's watch that one again real quick. Again, defender ducks under the screen, so he's gonna just take a little step back and pull this. It looks good. He has a nice follow through. Again, we get a nice rainbow on that shot. It looks fluid. It looks good. Doesn't look weird or awkward. Now let's talk about his misses because a lot of them look weird and awkward. On this one, look at where his feet are directionally. They are pointed almost entirely at the baseline. I don't know if you play basketball or if you've ever played basketball, but I don't shoot standing sideways. And that's maybe the most irritating thing that he does to me is his body is almost always shifted. Weird. His base points away from the rim typically, or it's at an awkward angle, and I don't really know why he does it. Again, does it there really, really bad. Um, they just cause his shots to be all wonky. Um, if you're familiar with like the physics of shooting a basketball, you want to be squared away with the rim. You want to have a nice follow through. You want your right elbow tucked in. Oftentimes you just see how his base is just so wonky. And these misses, they're not like rattling in and out. They're not hitting the back of the rim. I mean, that one clanked hard off the back of the rim here. And a lot of these, some of them miss short, some of them miss sideways, some of them miss long. They're just kind of all over the place and not very consistent. I think he's probably pretty far away from being a decent shooter, honestly, unfortunately. And that's going to be the biggest thing that kind of restricts his game. Um, I know I have a clip of it in here coming up too, but another thing that he often does is he'll like shortchange his follow through. I don't know if that's one. That's one. Perfect. Beautiful. A perfect example of it, right? So, following through with the basketball just kind of guarantees that you are controlling the direction of the ball, that it's going straight, it's going the way you want it to. If you let it leave your fingertips or not roll off your fingertips properly, you're just going to have a much harder time being an effective shooter. This is a perfect example of it. He kind of he raises it up really high here, and he's just gonna kind of lift his palm like he's shoving it, not like he's rolling it off his fingertips. And then he just drops his wrist, and you see it bounced off like the back left corner of the rim there. Just a weird miss. Just kind of an ugly jump shot, my guy. I am sorry to say, because I really adore him as a basketball player. And it's kind of silly to me that this part of his game is so wonky and so weird and so off. So I really hope going into this season, I haven't really watched much of his preseason games. I know he didn't take a ton of threes. Um, to see if the form has changed a little bit, but I'm really hoping it does for his sake and whatnot. Thank you guys so much for sitting through and suffering through another video with me. Um, your attention, your time does not go unappreciated. It really means a lot for anybody to take any amount of time to watch this video. So I'm not going to spend too long waxing poetic over here at the end of this video. I think next time I'll include some more B-roll for you to watch. So my apologies. But again, if there's ever any basketball players that you are wanting me to cover, please just leave them in the comments. Again, this kind of series of vids is largely focused on role players, not quite star players. So just keep that in mind. If there's any fun, quirky players you want me to talk about in the NBA, or if you have any other video ideas that you just want to hear me talk about. But I'm gonna stop ranting here. Again, thank you for your time, and I really hope that you guys join me in the next one. Bye.